You guys really need me, or can you and Tad handle this?
Probably. You're kind of useless.
I'm a little tired today.
Are you?
Yeah.
Why, from beating up the UPS guys?
Yeah.
Hey, we're powering speed. 908-751-0211.
And the good old like us on the good old Facebook and the iTunes and share and, all the other fun stuff.
Tad, people might not take you seriously if you don't really commit to this.
I don't think they do. You got to get more committed, man.
Damn it. Like it. Share it.
There you go.
So what do you want to talk about first? My UPS experience?
Yeah, we could do that.
Fucking dumbasses. How long is the driveway here?
Quarter mile.
Got to be a quarter mile. Every bit of. And probably if you go like round the bend and up to the house or down to the shop, it's probably longer.
Might be a third.
Might be a third. So are there any lights at the end of my driveway?
No.
Is there anything at the end of my driveway that would be like, this is a
deer, turkeys?
Right. So I'm waiting for parts to come in. And
parts for what?
My Tahoe.
Oh, shocking it. You're working on that thing.
Sorry. Waiting for parts to come in. And they say the UPS guy was here at 7:00. Not today. This is.
Yes, when it happened.
Yeah. And look at the shop. Nothing. Look at the house. Nothing. Front door, back door, garage doors, all doors. Looked everywhere. Nothing.
He's looking on cameras, folks, in case you're wondering.
No. Well, then I went back and I looked through the cameras. I'm like 7:30. Maybe by the time got in the truck and plugged his pad back in, maybe he was here at 7. So look for motion, look through all the cameras, looked at the snow on the ground to see if there were new tire tracks. I've gotten good at the investigative side.
Sleuth.
And with the gravel type driveway, you can see if the gravel was fluffed up from the night before. It all settles overnight.
Yeah.
I got all this.
I know. Take a tire print?
No. Little plaster cast. No, but the bottom line is there was nobody here.
Yeah, right.
And so I call up Amazon, and UPS does this, the post office does it. They will just flat out lie and be like, we were there, you weren't, and we'll try again tomorrow. Because they don't want to say to the people that they're shipping for that they were late or they didn't do it or whatever.
They fucked up.
Right. So their excuse is customer wasn't home or business closed. So I've had this happen before, so I call up Amazon. Nice lady. They said no, they left it in the driveway. And I'm like, fuck me, I must have missed it. Went and looked again. Nothing.
Did you say that to her? Because that'd be sexual harassment.
Oh yeah, I was pretty rough with the Amazon lady. And I said, wait, what am I even doing? I looked through all the cameras. There was nobody here. And I said, lady, I'm not going to look through the whole day's worth of video, but I'm telling you, nobody was here. So she calls UPS. UPS has their internal notes. They left the packages by the mailbox.
Out by the street?
Out by the street at 7:00 at night.
That's
a quarter mile from my house. They left it. Now, there's no packages there.
Of course not.
There's nothing there. I don't know if the guy actually left it. I don't know if somebody picked them up. But, I mean, these were not like little boxes. It was a pair of brake rotors and a couple other things. Like
sure.
There was a bunch of stuff that was just dropped off at the end of my driveway.
Heavy stuff. So
I said to the guy, why wouldn't you come up the driveway? Wasn't plowed.
What?
We had a ½ inch of snow.
I know. It's barely a dusting.
And he's like, you couldn't imagine driving one of these trucks in the snow. And I was like, obviously, it's well beyond what you can handle. But that's what I had. Well, you were here.
Yeah.
I didn't yell at him that bad, did I?
No.
Okay. I hope he gets fired.
Yeah, you said that.
He should work at McDonald's or some shit.
You really want a guy to lose his job like a week before Christmas? Scrooge.
Sometimes you only learn a lesson if it's a hard lesson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. It's like when you find somebody's wallet and you look at it and there's all kind of money in it and shit. And you look and you're thinking, and you're like, if I was him, I'd want to be taught a lesson.
Yeah. Kind of buy that. I'd look for pictures of his daughter, but that's
that's what you would do.
Another subject.
Yeah.
All righty. So, what did you do, Tom, this weekend? Anything? All I did was work on my truck.
I can't even tell you what I did.
Why?
I don't think I would ever hear the end of it.
Well, if it is anything like what you told us before, yeah.
No, you can't.
No, not that.
You can't let that go.
I went to a ballet.
You did what? Performing or spectating?
Well, no. I was. Imagine that. Do you really want that dancing around your head?
No.
Relax, Tad.
It's a cough. That's it.
Yeah, I went to see the Nutcracker. I'd never been to a ballet before.
All these phrases coming together, ballet, nutcracker, and everything. This is sounding really bad for you. What I have to ask, what prompted you to go to the ballet? Somebody poisoned your water supply with estrogen? What happened?
My wife asked me if I would go. Me and her and the two kids, the two older kids, get all dressed up. You go have brunch in the city, and then you go to the ballet. Me and my son had a good time.
Did you?
At the ballet?
Did you? Did you enjoy yourself? Did you really? Did you? I would completely lose all respect for you if you didn't get back in the car on the way home and be like, we did this and we did it for you, hon, but I ain't never doing this again.
The conversation didn't go like that, but that's implied.
Okay.
Me and my son we were cracking up. Like, we were talking shit about how it should go. Like, these guys are flipping around, girls flipping around, everything. And if you know what a nutcracker is, it's that guy. Did you ever see the commercial?
Yeah, he's like a soldier looking thing.
Yeah,
and you put a nut in his mouth or whatever. Yeah.
Well, we were hoping that he would wear that helmet the whole time because it's fucking hilarious. He's walking around with this thing with that face on, and everybody's all clapping, and they're all amazed. And I'm like, look at the face on that guy. It's fucking hilarious. Every time I look at it, I'm cracking up. It's a long story, but
were you like there laughing and everybody was being all serious about taking in the spectacle of the ballet?
Yeah, like me and my kid are laughing, and people behind us are like, shh.
Haven't you ever been to a ballet before? No.
I haven't.
God, you could never bring me to a place like that. Absolutely never.
No.
Well, I was accused of having toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity.
And it's funny, I was accused of that probably a week ago. Probably about a week ago.
By whom?
By a female friend.
Oh, female.
And she said that it's partially due to because I eat too much red meat.
What?
I swear to God this happened. I swear. And then...
Are we really talking about... I don't believe I said I went to a ballet, first of all, on a car show. And now we're talking about toxic masculinity.
But this is funny.
Go ahead, go.
Because I think that every car guy is... Look, if you got something you want to do...
Yep.
Like, I don't know, brakes on your Tahoe.
Go to a ballet.
Go to a ballet. Whatever, Tom. No judgment. This is a judgment-free zone until you leave.
Was Fudd there?
No. And ironically, I'm sure Fudd doesn't know anything about toxic masculinity either.
He doesn't know anything about masculinity, period.
But this was, of all things, on Tucker Carlson. And now I know where this broad is getting this stuff from. She's watching.
She closet watches Fox News?
No. But the people that Tucker have on to make fun of, she must follow and watch.
Got it.
And there's this nutty professor that says that if we eat meat, red meat specifically, it somehow or another stirs the hunter in us and makes us more aggressive.
Hey?
So the solution to calming down the predatory nature of man is to be a vegan.
Oh, God.
Wow.
So look, but this all happened. It's funny. The reason I brought that up is because all I wanted to do, and it was like last week, I had a lot of stuff to do. I had stuff come in. I had stuff that I had to ship.
And you just wanted to be a hunter-gatherer.
No, I wanted to be a retard tuna. I wanted to drive around and do some logging and to figure some things out.
So you're a lumberjack now.
So I got yelled at for wanting.
Who is this broad?
You've never met this broad.
Her name must be Dana.
No.
You got a whole harem of Danas.
Harem of Danas? No. This one isn't Dana. We'll talk about that one off the air.
All right.
Just in case.
Got it.
You never know.
What do you got, Tad?
About
cars, hopefully, man. We've been through ballet and
no, it's coming on to your
eaters.
ballet thing. I made the mistake of watching the Christmas Story, the one that was going to be on, on 5 or whatever. I watched it. They turned it into a musical. I was like, 10 minutes.
You shoot your eye out.
They turned it into a musical?
It was horrible because it's always the kid dialoguing, in the background and stuff. Now it's not even him doing that stuff. It was just.
Did anybody shoot their eye out?
I didn't
get
that far into it. I just switched off.
That movie was great.
It was a great movie, and they turned it into a musical. It's
all right. Somebody needs to be beaten about the head and shoulders.
This whole world's fucked, dude.
I know.
We're just completely fucked. And before you know it, we're gonna have electric cars and all kinds of crap. And shut up, all you people that are gonna
actually
chime in about your Tesla. I don't even want to hear it.
It's not on the Tesla anyway.
I don't want to hear anything about something that I got to plug in. I don't want to hear it.
It's not about plugging anything in. The second of the new Top Gear, or not Top Gear, the Grand Tour was damn good.
Yes, was good. Thumbs up. They got rid of some of the stupid shit.
Yeah.
If you have Amazon Prime, watch the Grand Tour. Those guys are my heroes.
The first
They're
one was
awesome.
a little sketchy, and it had one of the plug-in cars, but they proved its point. It couldn't go that far; they had to tow it. But the second one was good. I like the two guys racing the car for a time instead of like what did they have the other thing with the
star in a reasonably priced car,
which got taken out because of BBCBS.
Yeah, I'm sure that they probably have rights to that.
Yeah, so now they got 2 stars racing clock, and hey, that's good.
I missed the old track and I missed the old stuff, but it was really nice. I think somebody told me that the guy Andy Wellman got more control over how the show was formatted.
Right.
Hey, time out.
Yeah.
There's a guy on Eugene Allen. I'm shouting out to this guy because he said he's listening from the sandbox of Kuwait.
Oof.
I guess he can't call in. But
Probably not.
No.
Yeah.
But I'm going to Kuwait in 3 weeks, man. Are you out there like on tour or something like that?
Well, if you think about this, since he's listening over Mixler and it has to go from here,
He's not going to get
there's already a delay for us. He's going to be talking about something
like
3 minutes ago.
I'll get that answer in 20 minutes.
Yeah, but you
All right, I'll wait
can
on
just keep it watching.
Yeah.
It. But yeah, I was pretty happy. It looks to me like the Grand Tour is sliding
Starting to, like,
back
get
to
back into
where
its
Top
right.
Gear was because like some of the stuff, and I know this isn't a show about the Grand Tour, but the imagery and everything from Top Gear, like I was blown away by what's the name of that town, Myanmar or country or whatever it is, and there's another name for it.
Is it a country
Burma.
country or a town?
Burma. It's a country, town, whatever. It's not here. It's
State.
lots of foreign people that I can't understand.
Okay, I don't know where it is.
There's those guys, when they did that whole show, it was amazing.
What'd they do?
They drove through. They went from somewhere to Burma, and Burma is Myanmar or something.
Myanmar?
Whatever, something like that. But
That's
like
from FUD, by the way.
PJ says it's Myanmar.
whatever, PJ, like you should talk, eh? And the going there, they actually went through areas. There's like a civil war still going on. But the cinematography and everything. And,
Were they
and
shooting people?
No.
Oh.
It's not. You should really watch Top Gear. You know what the problem is? Everybody thinks that I'm the dick, and you are like the biggest fucking curmudgeon on the planet. You really are.
Why?
I'm not watching that. Do you ever watch Top Gear?
No.
Why?
Same reason you don't watch Street Outlaws. Because I don't feel like it.
Okay, well-
wait. I'm not getting in this.
Terrible.
What?
Terrible.
What?
Like I think you might be one of the guys that I hear about that does nothing but watch Fox News.
I don't even watch that anymore. I really don't watch TV.
All right.
I really don't.
Well, I'm going to let you go on that.
Curmudgeon.
You might be worse than me.
No, come on.
You might be. The only thing that's different is you got a family, so you can't go full out nuts like I am.
Okay.
That's probably what's keeping you on the rails.
Come on, man. You're a social misfit. You know that.
It's keeping you.
Wait, Mike, come on. He was at a freaking ballet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Now it's going to work in my favor.
Oh.
Somehow.
No.
Yeah, I guess not. I better not play that card, huh?
So let's talk about our guest for tonight, because I'm actually particularly happy with this one. I think that all things considered. Whoops. Wait a minute. He might be here already. Is it that? Oh, it is getting that late. Hang on. I didn't open up the phone system yet.
Don't you go ruining my show, you hoser.
Let's see what we got here.
Uh-huh.
Yep, it's him.
Yeah.
So we've had Katech on in the past.
Yep.
And we've talked to Jason.
Yep.
And Jason, we're not knocking him, but he's not the technical guy. You know, that's
Well, he's pretty technical.
pretty technical, but he
this,
is.
Yeah, this guy is the guy.
This guy is the guy. We talked about Katech and their history, that they were involved. I mean, they were the C5R program. I mean,
Yep. That's
where everything came from.
Yep.
Katech and GM. And the C5R program was all the Trans Am stuff, Le Mans stuff. It's as high a level as you could get.
Yep.
This gentleman, our guest, Kevin, I guess his name is pronounced Pranger.
Yep.
Okay.
Kevin Pranger. Yep.
He is the guy that ran that program. Started in 1997.
You said you might have seen him on a pit box once.
I think I did, because he sent me
You got to ask him.
well, he sent you a resume.
The bio, yeah.
Yeah, the bio. And I looked and I was like, I think that guy's been on TV, because I've always watched that. I mean, very rarely have I missed like a 24 hours of Daytona or a 24 hour of Le Mans. I mean, I'll watch it, not straight through, but I'll always catch it. I'm pretty sure I saw him. But here, let's bring him in. Kevin, you there, man?
I'm here.
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Hey, Kevin, how you been, man?
Good.
So, Mike actually thinks he saw you on a pit box. Is that even possible?
I've been on many pit boxes.
Oh, okay. He wasn't making it up then.
No, when I saw the picture, I was like, this is a while back, but I'm pretty sure I saw that cat on TV. Because like that's always part of the story about the endurance races. The strategy and talking to the pit guys and the camera panning over the pit box and everybody looking like they're in deep thought. And I'm pretty sure.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Well, if you went to a Corvette race for the 11 years that I supported the Corvette program, my job at the racetrack was telemetry engineer. So you'd see me staring at a laptop watching Corvettes go around the racetrack.
Mm-hmm. So let's start here. You ended up at Katech. We don't have to start from back in the Wii years, but when you first started at Katech, when about did they move you into the endurance side of things, or did you kind of start in that area?
No, actually, I started out the very first time there. I was 15 years old, and I couldn't work in the shop because they put insurance on me. So, but I was taking drafting courses, and I was interested in drafting and designing. So they let me draw parts on the board by hand back in the day. And then I went to school, came back, and started as an apprentice engine builder. Worked up to a full-time engine builder on my own. And in '91, they gave me the GM Trans Am program. I had been following Trans Am in '89 and '90 with the Berettas, and they switched to the Camaros, and we had to develop a 310 V8, which we did, and won the championship in '91 and '92. I think first was Scott Sharp, and the second year was with Jack Baldwin.
I was just going to ask if the 310, before you said that, because I remember the 310 motor, were they 18-degree stuff?
They were.
Yep.
18 degree.
That's what one of our customers, his name was Dominic, had bought some kind of special Corvette. They only made like 7 of them, tube steel or tube chassis, it's a real race car. And he had like one of 7 that were made, and there were a couple others that were destroyed, and some basketball player on the last one. But that's the motor that was with the car. That's how I know like that particular generation of motor. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yep. So that just basically gatewayed into me managing GM race programs. Let's see. After that, I think I went into off-road truck racing. With they supported a series called the Stadium Trucks, Mickey Thompson's Off-Road Challenger, something it was called, and we did a V6 for Nelson and Nelson was the team. And the first year, the driver was Ricky Johnson, who, as a kid, I grew up racing motocross, and he was like my hero. And then I got to work with him as a driver. The second year, they brought in a young kid by the name of Jimmy Johnson, who was just stellar.
That's funny because there's a cup guy by the name of Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah. Pretty popular guy.
I think that's the same guy. So that was pretty cool. We did the trucks for a while and moved on to, I think in the 90s, the late 90s, we did the Aurora. And that was really my first endeavor into endurance racing was this Aurora V8. General Motors wanted to design a 4-valve engine for Oldsmobile. This is before the IRL V8 that raced. Totally different engine. This was the road race version. And they had some Aurora cars that Pratt & Miller built. And I think Darren Brassfield and Irv Hare drove them. But then they wanted to do a 4-liter version for a WSC car with Wayne Taylor. And we developed that engine into something that could run the 24 hours of Daytona. And in '96, we won Daytona, and we won Sebring, and we got an invite to Le Mans, which there wasn't budget in the plan, but the sponsor at the time, Danka, come up with the money, and we went to Le Mans. And the car went 13 hours, and I think we broke a ring and pinion because we didn't have the right ring and pinion because of the gear set and such in the short amount of time we had to go there. But, you know, that's when we started learning about endurance racing, and then that just kind of in 97, GM came to us and said, hey, we wanna race this new engine called an LS, and in a Corvette, we want to go do endurance racing.
Now, when they got in touch with you to do this LS, had there been anything like a C5R block yet, or no? Like, did they have like a bow tie version of an LS available?
No, there was none of that. So this is how it started out. You know, I remember, and it was late 97, I think, when the first LSs came over, and we'd never seen anything like it. You know, no one did. I mean, we got our hands on some of the very first ones. And the first thing we did was how much stroke can we put in it, and, you know, these cast-in-place liners. We weren't familiar with any of that technology, and so we were able to get up to, I think, 6 liters. And at the time, with the restrictors that were in that class, you know, it looked like we really needed 7 liters. So the engineers allowed us to go up to, well, we didn't go up. They went up to Montepay up in Canada where they're casting the blocks and scraped cores so that we could have enough room to put liners in to get a 4 1/8 bore. So the first 10 or 15, the predecessor to the C5R block, were these hand-scraped cores that GM did for us, and then we'd bore out the cast-in-place liner and put regular, you know, iron sleeves in. And then that was for the first year in 99 that we raced, and meanwhile they came up with the concept of the C5R block, a 356 T6 aluminum, you know, proper oiling and all that stuff that they did, and they were able to justify the tooling by selling the street version, which was all metric. Now the race version was all American.
Really?
And not many people know that the actual blocks that we raced were all American. All the plugs were American. The head bolts were 7/16. The mains were 7/16.
Why did you guys get them raw and finish machine them?
No, they actually, GM had the same outfit that it was machining the production, the blocks that were for sale in the catalog would machine the race spec, and I forget how many blocks. You know, we'd do about 10 blocks a year or something like that. And,
do you remember who that was?
yeah, Schwartz Machine.
Wow.
Yep, Ken Sabo, Schwartz Machine. And Schwartz has machined a lot of the racing stuff over the years. The R07 block, I think he still does. The cylinder heads, drag race heads. He's the go-to guy for GM race parts for, you know, high-quality machining, and he does a wonderful job.
Yeah. There was a company that shared some work with them in Ohio, and they closed. I forget who they were. But anyway, yeah, that's cool. I hadn't heard scraped cores in a long time.
Yeah, and that's amazing that this is the inside of how something like the 24-hour of Daytona Le Mans racing program came to be. Like, what did we have to do?
Yeah,
that's where it started. Wow,
very cool.
And then, you know, the cylinder head, they quickly identified that Cathedral Port LS1 head just wasn't going to flow enough air. So
now hold up.
Wait a minute.
Hold up.
Time out.
Hold up. Please. You got to stop for just.
You're not going to understand. You'll understand why we're laughing in 1 second. But Mike, go ahead.
Nobody asked you to say that. Neither Tom nor I. Did we have any discussion with you on cylinder heads at all?
No.
Okay. Well, then just continue on your merry way, because I want to watch the sound of a whole bunch of our listeners' heads exploding.
Yeah.
So just go ahead and continue.
Sorry. Go ahead. We'll explain later.
Okay.
That was awesome, though.
Yeah. So, you know, meanwhile they're scraping cores and getting us blocks. They started on the cylinder head, and that's much easier to produce than a whole cylinder case. So they came up with a 005. That was the last 3 digits of the part number of the C5R head, and those had great big ports, which in the end come to be they were too big. They were actually too big for the restricted racing we were doing, and then they came out with the 090 head. So that's and that head was designed to look a lot like the LS1 head, except it had a lot more material on the deck, and the 090 later even got more material, and they got bridging put on to strengthen the outside of the casting and to give more clamping load. This is before 6-bolt.
Right.
And the ports are made smaller, which fit better with our restricted racing. I think the cores were still big. You could still open them up, but they basically added metal so that we could do a smaller port version, and they were pretty small. I forget how many. 240 cc comes to mind, but I could be wrong about that. But the cool part was they did the pad on the top for all the Jessel. You know, we worked right hand in hand with Jessel to build a proper rocker system for it. And Del West on the titanium valves, they were 8T, so they were, 800 thousandths longer than a regular valve, a regular Chevy valve. So that got us the cylinder head we needed to race on our 7-liter, and the rest was just an evolution of a combination of durability and endurance. Getting the endurance out of the engine, and then it was kind of taking weight off. That was the next step. And I think from the very first engine to the very last engine, we took like 100 pounds off the engine.
Wow. It's already starting with aluminum case. Yeah.
And that's still with aluminum. It's not like we switched from an iron case to an aluminum. That was all aluminum. But I mean, the very last few engines before they went to LS7R was, had tie rods. We had a 38 or 40 pound crankshaft. We had aluminum main caps. We whittled the whole side of the block down. We had magnesium A plates. Whittled the water pump down. We moved the alternator back. That was a free 10 or 15 pounds. We moved that to the back of the car. But yeah, just every little nut and bolt and screw we looked at and whittled down, carbon fiber runners and air boxes and all that stuff. And
so I imagine going through all this, you must have found, I don't want to say problem areas, but you have a lot of experience in figuring out what things are going to be an issue, and why. Were there any evolutions that had to be made in the LS? Like, let's say the stuff that you learned from the C5R, like you said that they changed the oiling system and everything else. Did that give you insights into where to move forward with like the more production generation of LS?
Yeah, actually, I believe, and I don't know if GM's ever written it out this way, but I think what we did in the C5R prompted the LS7.
Okay.
Because we were doing things, and they were trying to, they did the LS1 and then the LS6 and then the LS2, and they were looking at, how do we get more power out? And I think the 7-liter concept, the liner and the block, like we did, they came over a lot. I mean, the GM guys were over a lot looking at what we were doing, and we kept a close tie, and that technology transfer was there from the very beginning. So I truly believe the 7-liter LS7 was a true evolution of the C5R race engine.
Okay.
So you guys were kind of a off-the-record R&D arm. Kind of.
We were R&D on the race engine. It's just that this technology transfer that we always talk about doesn't always happen, and here it actually did.
That's really cool.
Yeah, really cool.
So how far removed are the LS3s and stuff of today from like where you guys left off? Like, did they follow any of the evolutionary stuff in the standard, like later model LS stuff? Obviously getting away, not talking about the direct injection stuff, because that's probably a whole nother chapter here from the head side.
A whole nother generation of engine, so, but the Gen 3 to the Gen 4, that evolution, that was kind of the rectangle port, on the inlet, the tie rod, that was something we were doing, piston squirters, stuff like that all kind of evolved. So I'd say, a lot of what we did early on influenced the 4th gen LS.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what's going on now? Like, I know we fast forwarded a little bit with that question, but what do you personally have going on right now that our guys would think is cool?
Well, for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been racing the LS3 in the Trans Am TA2 class, and got a pretty durable little engine. In parallel to that, we've been supplying the engines for IMSA for the Prototype Challenge, which was also an LS3 engine, and that turned out really cool. Back in the end of 15, the PC guys wanted to make a change to the engine. There was 2 years left before that car went away, and they wanted to lighten the engine to reduce the polar moment to make the car easier to drive for the gentleman. They also added a few things like traction control and telemetry to help make it more durable. But the lightening of the engine was really cool because we had been racing the LS3 with a stock crank and stock rods and a forged piston, which was fine. And we went 4 or 5 years of 24-hour races, virtually no failures, unless you count the ones where they ran them out of oil and stuff.
Whoa, hold up. So with like factory bottom end stuff, they were doing really?
Yeah. At the 500 horse, maybe 470 horsepower level. But yeah, we would race the stock crank and we put rod bolts, and I did a piston with Mala.
Killing me throwing these names around, man. You're killing me.
And you can't see, like, every time you're saying so, you see Del West. I'm looking at Tom and laughing.
Yeah. I mean, you saw the company I work for on the emails, right? No, it's good. It's all good. Go ahead.
So we've been racing the stock parts engine, and they wanted us to lighten the engine, and it's pretty easy to take 10 pounds out of a crankshaft when you go from a cast iron crank to a steel crank. So we took 11 or 12 pounds out of that. We did a 1/850 rod bearing, which is the same thing we raced in Corvette, in C5, and in the LS7R. So we knew that worked. That was a proven concept. A nice little taper beam rod. It was 6,200, really light, made a really light 400-gram piston. We took 15 pounds of rotating and reciprocating weight out of that engine. Did a lightweight camshaft, took like 4 or 5 pounds out of the camshaft.
Would you gun drill it?
Yeah, it was gun drill. The factory one's gun drill, but this was a big gun drill. And then we took all the lobes and narrowed them right down to the width of the bearing, because no sense making those journals in the lobes. The lobes the width of the roller, and this is a camshaft that came from really the LS7R. It was pretty much the same design, and I tell you, the engine life, the block life with the heavy parts, the LS3 block would go 3,000-4,000, maybe you'd get 5,000 miles and you'd crack a number 4 main web. When we went to the lightweight parts, everything looked so much better. The piston, the bores, everything looked beautiful. By taking that mass out, that rotating and reciprocating mass that was stressing the block. When we took all that out and put the lightweight stuff in, the engine life just went way up. In fact, this year, the last year for the PC, we had one team, ran Daytona, won the race, ran Sebring, won the race, and ran Coda, won the race. Same engine.
Wow. That's crazy.
We took it apart. It was beautiful.
Wait a minute. You mean it ran all 3 races without being freshened?
Without coming out of the car.
Ooh.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's now, and just to be clear, so everybody understands what we're talking about here, we're talking about kind of a factory LS foundation motor. This isn't all after,
heads,
right?
Walls. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing. It's amazing that a race team has enough balls to do that, first of all.
Yeah. I mean, they believed in us, and we knew from the year before, the endurance we were getting out of the engines once we lightened everything out, and they just, they swung for the fence, I guess. And
you realize it's not good for business, though, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it certainly, you make the thing so darn durable. I mean, we did our Trans Am engine is so durable now that we had one team run 2 seasons on it. It finally gave up at the end of the second season, but it's like, guys, you got to come back for rebuilds.
Wow, that's amazing. That is certainly a way to not make money.
Yeah, but I mean, it's amazing that and I mean, I guess I shouldn't say it and make it sound badly, but it's amazing that the base platform, I mean, if you went back and you started looking at things like, I mean, I can't imagine that the old 310s that they built were built on production blocks most times. They were, everything we always had was a bow tie.
Bow ties.
Yeah. You really couldn't do that with a stock block. So it is kind of amazing that they've come this far in the stuff that comes in your car.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Well, I guess the block architecture, it all starts out better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about some specific components in those motors. How about like oil pump? Were those things dry sump or were they wet sump?
Yeah. Yes, dry sump. Yeah, everything in racing really needs to be dry sump because of the G loads. When you talk about a PC car with the downforce in the tires and the carbon brakes and such, there's no way you'd ever get a wet sump to live. Plus, the engine's like 2 inches off the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, so you got no room for pan. And yeah, it makes sense. I guess thinking about it in that environment, the amount that's going through. Whoops. I don't know if anybody could hear that. My driveway alarm just went off.
Yeah, that was you.
Wasn't me.
Well,
I mean, I didn't have nothing to do with it. Somebody came in the driveway. Okay, how about things like timing chain? What did you guys do? Now, I know that you and I talked briefly about the valve train packages that you guys have, and I know stability adds to the longevity of anything, but like, what about things in those areas? Like, talk about valve train, components from start to finish. See what we got here.
Sure, the timing chain, we early on with the LS1, the timing chains were, I'd say, a weak link. They really were. I mean, the plates were so thin on the link plates were so thin, and when we started putting spring and rocker and stuff on there, it just wasn't enough. So we went and worked with IWIS, who we'd worked with in IRL and some other programs over the years to develop what we called a full roller C5R chain, and it's our recipe for what size the link plates. There's been other guys out there trying to copy and coin, but it's that C5R chain is, we sell a ton of those things still to this day, and we change them out. We change them out at 3,000-4,000 miles, but we never had to. We just did because it was a $100 part that you just don't skimp on in a factory program.
Mm-hmm.
But I've reused a lot of those takeout chains in street cars that have run for thousands and thousands of miles.
And that chain with like conventional factory sprockets?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing
60 tooth chain. And so that's the timing chain side. I mean, valve train is harmony. It's getting the right balance. You change one component and it can throw everything off. So you start with some lobes that are in an area that make the power you want, and you work on stiffening up the push rod side, the lifter, the rod. You want to keep the mass down on the spring side. That's one great thing the LS brought was the beehive spring with the really tiny locks and 8mm valves and hollow stem and all that stuff. GM learned over the years, and so did the racers. And the LS valve train is really, over old small block Chevy with stamped steel rockers and great big springs and heavy 11/32 valves and such. We've learned that you lighten everything up on the spring and the valve side, and you stiffen everything up on the push rod and the lifter side, and you make good valve trains.
Yeah, it's kind of the trend everywhere, but I do agree. The valve train.
I mean, you think about the punishment that the road race stuff has to go through.
Yeah.
Depending on the circuit and the amount of accelerations, decelerations. Yep. I mean, that's an awful lot. Everything's got to be right. And I mean, for me, it's hard to imagine something racing for 24 hours. It really is.
Mm-hmm. And they're not low RPM engines either, right? I mean, they get up pretty good.
I don't know.
66. Yeah, in the PC car, the 24-hour cars, they had a 6,600 RPM rev limit. The Trans Am cars have 6,800.
Oh, I thought it was higher.
Yeah, so they're not terrible, but still. I mean, that's
It's still a lot, yeah.
Yeah. Think about an old small block Chevy, 6,800 was, we didn't do that too often.
Yeah, true, in stock configuration.
Now, probably one thing that, was something that some people had asked and something that I had actually talked to Jason about, in the oiling section, I mean, I guess since you guys are running a dry sump, the windage, issues that would occur with like that style of block really don't matter as much anymore because you got as much oil as you can get out of the pan anyway. Did you guys go through any specific, windage control characteristics for that, or because it's dry sump, it was kind of okay where it was at?
We actually worked to separate the bays and keep them separate. So each section of the dry sump could pull on a separate bay. And if you look at when Roger Allen did the LS7R block, and we switched to the LS7R in 2006, he actually cut the block off at the Y and did a cast sump. And it was truly divided. There were 4 sections. And each section of the dry sump pump pulled on its own section.
Okay. So it was a real compartmented deal then.
What year was that?
Right. In 2006 is when the C6 started racing in GT1 and the LS7R replaced the C5R.
Yeah. I used to work for an oil pan company, and we worked on that with Morgan McClure, like in the early 90s, the segmented stuff.
Okay.
So there. Yeah, Mike's making faces at me.
Yeah, big deal. Shut up, Tom.
Tom has to get in.
I got that in.
How many Daytona or Le Mans races did you win?
None.
That's all I'm going to say.
I was at one.
So, so with all the LS3 stuff that you've learned, what kind of things does Katech have for the average guy? The guy that's looking to put a good motor program together, either for, a good performance street car or even a drag car for that matter.
Yeah, so we've got LS3 CNC port that, we use on the performance. We have cam packages. We came up with a Torker LS3 cam, which is pretty much the biggest thing you can put with stock pistons without valve notches. And that's been real popular with a lot of the street performance guys. Our CNC ported head. No one's really done an inlet manifold, unfortunately, that really shows anything. We've developed lately our 416 LS3, and we just recently did a few of them with a fast inlet. In the beginning, the fast inlet didn't really show a huge gain in the LS3, not like it did with the LS7.
Mm-hmm.
But in the 416, it's starting to show a gain, especially when you pair it up with a 102 throttle body. You can definitely see some gains in the 6,000 RPM and up.
Okay.
So just by virtue of the size of the engine and the size of the intake are starting to get happy together?
In the camshaft, putting enough camshaft in it. And, for that cubic inch. And we always go a little conservative because we like our cars to be real drivable. Some of the shops out there put some really outrageous camshafts, and then they're hard to tune, and the drivability goes away. We like to be able to stick them up in 6th gear at 1,800 RPM and not have them lug and stuff like that. So we always tend to shy a little on the conservative side.
And I think that it probably goes without saying that guys that do road race stuff generally have a better handle on what it takes to make a motor run over a broader range, because it's not just leaving a starting line. All right. So valve train and head packages. No cathedral port stuff, huh? You guys didn't do any of those ports?
Yeah. We actually have, we started offering a couple months ago. We have every LS and every LT, 5th gen LT head, we have CNC ports for.
Okay.
So if we started a special, I think it's $4.99. Send us your clean heads, taken apart, and we'll CNC port and send them back for $4.99.
Wow.
Hey, bad.
Dude, that's cheap.
That's a great deal.
Really cheap. And then there's a drop down. You go on our website, on our online store, and there's a drop down if you want disassembly and cleaning and valve jobs and stuff like that. But if you're capable of pulling your heads off, pulling them apart, cleaning them up, make sure the oil and all the grime and crap is off, you get them in boxes and get them to us, and we do them for $4.99. So check out our online store to find out more information about that.
Hey, let us know if you get any calls from this show. I'd be interested to hear that. That'd be great if you did.
Well, aren't you supposed to, like, if you do shit like this, aren't you supposed to have a coupon code that says, like enter Mike is a dick here or something, So,
well, I think this was such short notice they didn't offer them to me.
Yeah, no problem. All right, well that's pretty cool. What else we got as far as LS stuff that would be of interest? See, I mean, all my questions, I had a lot of these kind of answered beforehand, like talking to Jason about like timing chain and everything. I knew about that chain. And because I want to make sure that I got the right stuff, but I don't know what other things the guys could want to know about.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone over with Jason the lifter side and the RPMs that they've run safely and all that stuff.
Question for me. LS3 block has a steel cap or cast cap, whichever way it is, but I mean another than aluminum cap. Where do you guys like bearing clearance for those things? Like, what do you find works versus amount of horsepower and loading to control? If you guys were using factory crankshafts, you got to know what makes those things live, like what they like.
You wouldn't believe it, but those all ran the factory aluminum bearing at the factory clearances.
Wow.
This is like an advertisement for how well GM did this.
Yeah.
Well, if they were an SBE.
Well, if you know what, maybe we'll ask the question a different way because I kind of want to get an answer. If you guys were applying a couple of atmospheres of boost, I mean, you guys have boosted stuff, right?
Yeah.
What do you do with clearances then? Because then you're going to start moving cranks around more.
Yeah, absolutely. Depending on how stiff the crank is and such, and how well you dampen it and all that. But in a 90-degree V8, main bearing number 2 and 4 take all the loading. So those you definitely open up. And I think our boosted stuff we'll probably run around 3,000ths.
Mm-hmm.
Where 1, 3, and 5 will stick to 1,000 per inch or a little less. We might run those at 2.2 or 2.3, something like that. But 2 and 4, we definitely open up to 3, just so, because we've seen the loading, we've seen it, and that's how we react to it. And of course, we run a good, not always coated. We're trying to switch more of the coated, but the Cleveite tri-metal bearing and such, steel main caps, stuff like that. We make an LS steel main cap we sell also on our online store, and we'll put those on our boosted engines as well.
Okay, but you're at least 3 on boosted stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Anything where the crank's really going to be moving around.
What do you see a downside other than you're going to lose oil pressure? But so you guys flip shells around to get it on 2 and 4, and you still run tight on the others? I mean, that's an oil pressure thing?
Normal. Yeah, I run normal on the others, but it is oil pressure. I mean, if you want to put enough pump in it, you can make the pressure, but then you got oil flow and parasitic losses.
Yep. So it costs you power to not do that little bit of extra work.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of a trade-off. It's like everything else in an engine, it's balance. It's harmony.
No, that's well explained, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
You think about all the guys who are like, damn it, now we got to buy a couple sets of bearings, put one motor together. Welcome to the real world.
Yeah.
Unless you got to hook up
exactly.
They can get you the stuff you need. You got a lot of old boxes of bearings missing stuff because I still got them.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right.
So you spent a lot of time being inventive with that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, necessity, the mother of invention.
Yeah, true. All right, I got one last question. What about coating stuff? Anything in the engine that you guys can think of?
Absolutely. A whole list of them. My all-time favorite is DLC on the piston pin.
Yeah.
Absolutely the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm telling you. I mean, I remember fighting with piston pins and, you know, scoring and just being really anal about smooth surfaces. And someone actually made a machine to lap the outside of the pin, because you'd have to lap them and get them cleaned back up after, you know, to reuse them, because they're durable as hell. It's just the surface finish. You couldn't keep them flat and smooth. And ever since DLC, I mean, the pin bores have never looked better. The rods we run, you know, we don't run a bushing anymore. Get rid of the bushing. We run right on the steel with the DLC, and they just absolutely made that small end of the system work beautifully.
I think that DLC is something anybody should do in anything they're going to make any power or they care about. That it's not a regular street car. That to me, and Tom and I had exactly that discussion about stuff for myself and things I was working on. Yeah, really important.
And why not do it on street cars too?
Yeah, if you can afford it. It's not a ton.
No, it's really not. The DLC people are going to love us now.
Yeah. And then you've got like CRN on the inlet valve, and the LS7 does that. We do it all on all the race valves, and it really, you know, the seats might get a little beat up in the head, but the valve absolutely just cleans up beautifully and looks really nice. So that's a real nice coating. I'll shout out to the Mala guys on their graphel. They call their coating on their skirt. They do a phosphate on the whole piston, and then put this graphel, which is a lot of guys spray on Molly and some of the coatings and stuff, and I see a lot of that wear off right away, where this graphel it's durable. It's made to bed itself in, and where it's tight, it'll kind of wear down a little bit, but where it's not, it fills the gap and kind of gets that skirt to mate even better to the bore walls. So I love the graphel from Mala on their piston skirts.
I'm about to mute his mic.
The Mala guys are all laughing.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to be together at a trade show one of these pretty soon, you know. I hope you're a big dude.
I am not.
Okay, and you're in trouble.
All right, so DLC, pistons, what else?
Yep, CRN on the valves, coatings on bearings. You're seeing it in production. You know, you take apart an LT and they're all coated. And I tried to figure that one out, and it was really interesting. LS7. There's a late model crank and an early model crank. And I don't know if any of you guys know this, but there were two different part numbers, and there was a change. And you had to run the coated bearing with the late model crank. And by measuring the surface finish, the cranks are a little rougher. So they went to, I think they were able to, and I'm guessing all this, I don't know this for sure, but they're able to cut down the cost of the crank by not having to call out such a fine finish. And instead, a cheaper route was to put the coated bearing in.
Wild. I never knew that.
You would have thought that crank finish was important no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what's on the bearing. Yeah.
But I guess, if you're making a million of them, it's cheaper if you can bang the cranks out without one extra step.
Yeah, I guess. But
I'm guessing at this. I don't know for sure.
I'm not getting that, because in my world, no matter what the RA is at a crank, it's not supposed to touch the bearings, right?
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah.
But we know that's not always the case.
No, not always the case, but primarily it's got to be.
In running condition, I mean, startup, cold starts, and the things sat around.
Yeah, they're sitting on. Yeah, I know they're sitting on the shells, but anyway.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we've been talking about a bunch of stuff, and I think our guys are going to want to call. So why don't you give all your information? Phone numbers, emails, whatever you want to give. Give the big shout out to Katech.
Okay. First off, our website, www.katechengines.com, and our new media site, thekatechnetwork.com. Our phone number, 586-791-4120. That's our phone number.
Okay.
And online store, visit that 24/7, except I think the 27th and 28th, I think we're down for inventory.
Okay. All right, but that's where everybody can find out about the CNC head porting, that they could send in the clean castings, and you do the work.
I hope we sell some of them.
Me too.
That'll be cool.
That's a bargain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a real big guarantee you. There's a lot of CNC head guys right now that are like, damn it.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep us posted. Like I said, I'll be seeing you out on the road somewhere, I think. We appreciate you calling in. It was good to have you. And tell everybody we said hello.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell Jason we said hello and thanks.
I'll do so. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
All right. Thank
All
you,
right.
man. See ya.
No problem.
Talk to you. Bye-bye.
Bye
See
bye.
ya.
That to me,
That's a
and I
good
know
price,
I'm a
man.
fanboy of Katech just because I understand the accomplishment, but he is the guy
I know.
behind the accomplishment.
It's actually funny that you said that you think you saw him on a pit box.
I swear to God,
I know,
when I saw
pre-show.
that picture,
I know, you said it. We weren't making it up. And I hope everybody believes that we did not have him say that shit about the cathedral.
hell no.
We were like,
But I was really hoping.
Dumbfounded.
I was really hoping. I said, "Do you have those for all heads?" He'd be like, "Yeah, everything except those stupid cathedral."
Yeah.
I was hoping, but
yeah,
no.
Actually, Simon said that blew up in your face.
Yeah,
like-
it did.
Well,
He said,
somebody
"I was like, damn it."
somebody in there did ask if the CMPRS is on the mosque ports, but
yeah. Chris asked that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, those guys to me, and I know we've had them on before, but there was a lot of interesting information there, like the coatings, not to mention the one manufacturer again.
Yeah, I know. Killing me.
But the coatings, I mean the DLC on wrist pins, that was like to any circle track guy or even a drag guy pulling a lot of pan vacuum, that was like, that was like a miracle.
Yeah.
I mean, because that really did it. That's something. Like people are worried about the little places in an engine that could come back to bite you. The pin one is a good one.
Yeah, huge one.
Yeah, it's a place to pay attention to, and stop taking as much weight as you possibly can out of that area because that can be detrimental. That's not a good place.
It's amazing the amount of weight they took out of the motors.
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
I thought what was more amazing is they had a factory LS3
I know.
run all that time,
I know.
and then you're asking them questions like, "Well, what did you do here?" Well, it's a factory bearing. What?
Yeah.
I know.
I figured like. I mean, I guess they took it apart and they went through it and they made sure essentially what we would refer to years ago as a blueprint,
Yeah.
Yep.
to make sure everything's all right. But damn, an LS
It is
conventional motor.
it really is a testament to the GM engineers. On the one side, we always hack on the guys who design the bodies of the cars because they're so friggin' ugly.
Yeah.
But the guys in engine and powertrain, they got their shit together.
I know what I wanted to ask about the C5R stuff, but that kind of gets off the beaten path, what we're talking about. I think they have IR intakes. I think they're individual runner intakes inside an airbox, and the two airboxes pulled through the restrictors, if I remember right. But I was going to ask him if they had any kind of insight in runner length tuning, like when he got into the intake manifold stuff. But
He probably does too.
yeah, well, we can have those guys on again.
But the C5R they weren't 416s. They were smaller, right?
That's another thing I kind of wanted to ask, but it really didn't matter a whole hell of a lot. The 427, that's not the size the C5R ended up being. I think they ended up being smaller. I mean, because they had to, rule-wise. I think they had to.
Actually, I think C5R might have been 427 in the end. Well, they were 427s when they went for sale.
Yeah, but I don't think that they were 427s throughout the racing thing because they're not now. C5R engine for sale. Oh, really? Yeah.
No, you see the intake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Individual runner.
Yep. And the box looks like it just
I think that's
locks
the one
on.
I was looking at to look at like water pumps and stuff like that. Is the whole drive mechanism on the front of that?
Yep.
We'll post that picture. Steal that picture from an eBay auction. We'll put that up there. All right.
That's got a lot going on, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at a lot of that stuff. And I mean, and again, I know people have, said it before, but yeah, I'm a fanboy because I understand how difficult this task was.
Yeah.
And I mean, and to think that they were all the way back to scraping cores to get the block configured the way they needed, that was amazing.
I know. We should talk about scraping cores at some point, maybe next show, because I don't know if everybody knows that.
Nah, I don't think they know what it is either. I know what it is for doing things for Brodex heads and stuff,
Yeah,
for the stupid circle track big block stuff.
That's right, the oval port stuff.
Yep. Well, probably the last thing that we should talk about, and it's really sad. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. But
Yeah, there was some.
man, Bob Glidden passed away.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're a Chevy guy, a Ford guy, You knew who Bob Glidden was.
He had to have somebody to race.
Yeah.
He was it, you know.
You might have hated Fords. You might have cursed at the guy when he knocked your guy out in Pro Stock, when Pro Stock was like fun to
When it
watch.
was cool, yeah. It was the best class.
But I got to tell you, I don't know that there were many people or will be many people in the NHRA that were harder working than that guy.
Oh no, that's actually what he did. He outworked everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and not to mention he was good. He made power. He was a good driver. But I remember, my memories of him were, honestly, I hated him because he just won everything. I read a stat today.
Isn't that funny that you can just not like somebody because they're doing well?
It's sad.
Because that's honestly, like if somebody brought up Bob Glidden, I'm like, asshole.
Yeah.
Only because he was a Ford guy.
Well, I mean, this is when I was younger too. I mean, once I got to know them, and actually got to know one of his sons pretty well, Billy. They're just regular people, great people.
Of course they are.
But they outworked everybody. And I read a stat today. There was a 23 race, deal that he qualified number one in every time. I think it was 23 races in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure he won a shit ton of them.
Yep.
I mean, he was the man.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
That's it. It sucks because as we get older, younger people are probably listening to this, but as we get older, more and more of these people that we knew or looked up to, or they're just gonna, it's gonna happen. Yeah. It's a horrible fact of life, but I mean, man, it's really sad to hear
he still
that.
went pretty young. 73?
73. Yeah, that's too young.
Yeah, it probably is too young.
And I don't know how it happened.
The details, yeah.
No, I mean, nobody wants to ask that.
No.
But, condolences to the family.
Yes.
And, no matter what side of the automotive fence you're on, know that there was a lot of respect and a lot of love for the guy.
Hell
yeah. That's, he was a legendary NHRA Pro Stock guy.
Yep.
For sure.
There's no getting around that. He was the man.
I mean, when you got models built of your cars and everything.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You're,
from Pinto on up.
Yep, you're the guy. So
wow, remember the Pinto?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool times, too.
Yeah.
It was really good times. Not like today.
Yeah, right.
One thing about Pro Stock that I'm sure Bob wasn't happy about, did I hear that they could put any motor in any car now?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but so that means everything's going to go Chevrolet. Oh, it's terrible. They just keep on hitting it with a hammer. It's awful. I don't know who's going to watch it.
I think Alan told me that, so I was suspect of if it was misunderstood. Sorry, Al, but you take it with a grain of salt. I have heard you talk about politics, so I don't know where your viewpoint is. I was just shocked when I heard that.
Yeah, I'm not shocked at anything anymore. I mean, honestly,
are we going to end up with a Pro Stock car of tomorrow? I mean, is that where we're going
That's
here?
essentially what they have. No, I think we're going to end up with a big Pro Mod field, and Pro Stock is going to go away. I mean, everybody wants to watch Pro Mod. I mean, it's so much more exciting and fun.
Yeah.
What do you?
Not really.
Well, what do you like?
I like the small tire stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, stock eliminator is really where it's at for fans.
No, not that kind of small tire stuff, you dick.
Well, I do too, but I'm talking NHRA. If you got to be at those races, and all you people don't, lucky people don't have to go there. But you got to watch something. What would you watch? Pick your poison. Top Fuel.
Unfortunately, Pro
Funny
Stock.
car.
Pro Stock is what I watch, and you're right. A Pro Stock now sounds like it is what it is, and I'm not picking on the guys that still want to do it. God bless you, but.
No, it's not them. It's NHRA.
It's NHRA. But this all comes back to putting a genie back in the bottle. How do you do it? How do you knock the price of the motors back? I almost think the fuel injected stuff was a good start because it eliminated carburetors and, it probably eliminated a lot of stuff to stabilize the pricing. It probably did help.
Well,
but all this stuff, I mean, this sounds like an act of desperation. It sounds like there might be some motors laying around that the guys don't want to build a car. So we'll let people run kind of like we're getting into the run what you brung area of Pro Stock here.
Yep.
If you ask me.
Yeah, but you know what it kind of sounds like? Just LS swap it.
Well,
oh, God.
I mean, it like Tom's right. In the end, it'll probably be all Chevy. The guys that can afford it that do a lot of development are probably going to be Chevrolets. And maybe there's some things we don't know. Maybe the Ford Big Head is particularly good. And
Ford hasn't had an engine in Pro Stock in forever.
No, but they have some stuff that would probably fit into that category.
Yeah, but it never performed. I mean, the Hemi thing is going to be a thing that's going to go away, and there's going to be Chevys and everything. They'll just put a Ford decal on it or a.
Well, most people don't realize this, but almost everything was Chevy kind of in the bottom anyway. Like,
Yeah,
they were a Chevy bottom
Yeah.
end with a Chrysler bell housing bolt pattern.
Right, right.
What the
Right.
they had a Chevy spacing crank, and then,
Yeah, well, because the Y block couldn't make the power because the oil was all in the way, and so then they cut the sides of the block out, and oil pans were $1 bazillion, and they had to carry the weight, and yes, now they have Chevy blocks. And
my only complaint about like Pro Mod and all that kind of stuff is that I wonder if we're going to be getting to the point that it kind of becomes like Top Fuel. I mean, that is kind of the progression that like we're going to go through. They're going to keep finding ways to lean on things harder and harder and harder. And are we going to start seeing guys going through motors between rounds and everything else? This is always a problem. It's a problem with every form of motorsports when you get started. The technology and the people in it want to win, so they drive the expense. The expense comes up, and then they have to backpedal to find a way to get more people back into it.
There's two problems. That's the first problem. The second problem is the people that are racing always are smarter than the people that are making the rules.
Oh yeah, that's actually a given.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember watching these people making rules and be like, "You fucking dummy."
Yeah.
Well, no, that's great. No, because you said we can't do that, so now we're going to get to the same place we were by going this way.
Right. And you're too stupid to even realize.
Absolutely. Where you would have been better off saying, "Look, you can't do this in any way, shape, or form." Period.
Yep.
But but I mean, how do you cut back pro stock? You're going to say that, all right, no ported heads. You're going to use a spec head.
I don't know.
And then we're getting into kind of the car of tomorrow thing. It's tough, man. This is
get rid of the cubic inch limit. I don't know.
I don't know if that's an answer either. I don't think it's
Put
an
a
answer.
small tire on them.
That would almost always be an answer, I think, because that's. But
How
then,
cool would that be?
But then it's not the motor; it's all the car.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I guess that's what the small tire grudge stuff is.
Well, you look at the X275 stuff and what they're doing with those little tires.
Put turbos on them. Then they're pro mods.
Then they're pro mods. And then we get into your turbos are now working better than my blower, so you got to go down to a 88 or whatever it is. I mean, there's always something. The problem is nobody's going to be happy. Everybody's always going to work to spend money to get the result. And it doesn't matter what you pay them. It doesn't matter if you're paying a guy $100 to win or you're paying them $100,000. People are probably going to spend the equal amounts of money in either part. They're just going to do it.
Yep.
Because it's what they do. All right. Well,
hey, we got to talk about schedule because it's going to be rough. We're down at least 2 weeks. I mean, we got Christmas and New Year's on Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
So
Christmas is on Monday. Why do I think it was on Saturday?
Talk about a curmudgeon. How could you not know when Christmas is?
Because all I got to do is show up to my mom's and eat. That's all.
You're not going to a ballet?
No, I don't think so. Me and my toxic masculinity won't allow it. You might see Alan there, though.
Oh, sure.
He might be performing.
I went once. I won't see Alan there.
No?
Negative.
I don't know. We'll have to figure this out. And maybe even though I told on Alan, maybe he could come in and we could do a show while you're gone. He can keep your seat warm for you.
Well, I mean, I'm going to be gone for a month. I mean, we're going to, I don't know if you're going to have a show on Christmas Day. That'd be crazy. Mm-hmm. New Year's Day, you could do whatever you want.
New Year's Day, I'll be fine because I'm not going to be one of the drunk bastards all hungover. That ain't me.
Ditto.
Yeah, I'd be fine.
So it'd be good for you two.
Yeah. Where are you going to be? Drunk, hungover bastard? Left at the ballet with your pants down?
No, well, you were just talking about somebody else that was maybe going to sit in, but I don't know.
Ooh.
Oh, come on now.
The New Year's Day wouldn't work.
Well, I mean, I don't know. We'll figure some shit out. And I mean, look, we used to do it where you would call in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can figure that out.
Yeah, we could do that.
I think that's what we did. Like back then, I think we had like Crunch. We had a little bit of talent other than just Tad sitting across from me. So made it a little easier. Well, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
And we'll have to figure out some people to be on in your absence.
Yep.
Maybe I call some piston companies.
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Well, I guess that's about it. But
I hear the music.
Yeah, you hear the music. I think there was a lot of good info from Katech. And really, CNC ported heads for that price?
$4.99?
Yeah.
Stupid. Like, I guarantee there's a lot of head porters that are like, motherfucker.
Well, some of these clowns better buy some. Well, these cathedral port clowns, they need their shit ported.
Time to step up.
Yeah, step up or shut up.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.
Yep.